So I found a giant bike for sale on Facebook Marketplace from Nate's Bikes in Greenfield, Indiana. Shout out to them. And purchased it. And Jim and I went down to, actually, this is a ride on the Heritage Trail here in the East Central Indiana. And then I continued to ride my Fazari to condition myself and also the Trek. And then continued on riding the Fazari up until, well, okay, so I guess let me preface this by saying we should have ridden the Death March on March the 15th of 2025. But what happened, Jim and I were actually on our way down to do the Death March, having our map, or our route rather, planned out. Um, and on the way there, I received an email from the Death March Ride folks, which is Dino. I believe, I can't remember the exact acronym for it. But anyway, Dino sent me an email saying that it was canceled that day due to the fact that a tornado actually went through the park, which is Hoosier National Forest, the day of the actual ride. So Jim and I actually decided, well, we obviously couldn't go ride it, so we went back and I just started riding my normal bicycles here because I didn't have room at the time to keep my Giant at my house. Otherwise, I probably would have rode it between the Fazari and the Trek. But I just continued on, and I am actually the only idiot out of the three of us that rode the rain ride last year that decided, yeah, it's a good idea. Go ahead and ride the rain ride again. So I did. So I conditioned myself on the Fazari from basically March 15th through, well, minus this Trek session here. And I think this was the time that I had the Pointer Brothers actually maintain my bike and do some odds and ends to it. But I basically rode from here up until July. And this right here is the rain ride, which is actually slightly shorter this year because St. Mary's of the Woods. So, long story short, they weren't planning on doing the rain ride this year because Bloomington Bicycle Club decided that they didn't want to be the only ones maintaining the rain ride. So eventually, CIBA, which is Central Indiana Bicycle Association, decided to pick up the rain ride, and thank God they did because I really wanted to do it again. I was going to do it myself, but they decided to go ahead and pick it up. And so I basically ended up riding it solo here on the 19th of July, which it was slightly shorter because St. Mary's of the Woods, which is a Catholic school here in Indiana in Bloomington, decided that, well, not decided, they basically had other plans because they weren't expecting to host the rain ride this year. So, 2024, I actually stayed on campus in a dormitory that students would have stayed in, but I stayed in it obviously over the summertime. And so St. Mary's basically said, we're doing, I think it was maintenance at the time on the dormitory. And so they couldn't host us as a whole. And so we started from a different location, which is the YMCA there in Bloomington, Indiana. So starting from there, it basically knocked off 5 miles of the 160 miles of across Indiana. So the rain ride. So I trained and trained and trained and trained and trained, and wish I would have done better training. But I did do actual century here in May, as you can see here, and then decided that that was enough centuries. So I went ahead and rode the rain ride, which was a brutal mistake, but we've actually got that corrected. So I have a cardiologist And so, long story short, let me give you a brief session here. I rode the rain ride as one would do. Uh, and at mile number 40 ish, I stood up and my quads locked up. Like I couldn't sit down, I couldn't pedal, I couldn't do anything. Um, and so I was always a fat kid at heart and always had issues with my weight control. Um, until here recently, since I started cycling, obviously I've been able to keep my weight slightly under control. But basically, at mile number 40, I stood up, my quads locked up, and I couldn't sit down. I couldn't do anything. So I suffered through another 20 miles until I hit the next checkpoint on the raid ride. And then I just chugged and chugged and chugged Gatorade to get sodium and any kind of potassium and anything electrolyte into my body because I just couldn't pedal very well anyway. I forced myself to sit down eventually and got to mile number 60, which was the second rest stop of the rain ride. So I was mentally broken at mile number 40 when I stood up and everything locked up. Like I did not want to be there. I almost called somebody and told them to come get me. I was done, but I persevered through it. Jim actually met me at the fourth stop out of the five, which would be five being the end in Richmond, Indiana, at the college there. But I was ready to give up, folks. Like I could not fathom going another 120 miles with cramps at mile number 40. But I persevered and I did 155.35 miles that day. Thank God for the people that I fell in line with at Greenfield because they said, so long story short, the rain ride had rain this year. And it was an experience for sure. I wear my 510s constantly when I cycle because I don't clip in. And they were just like soaking wet because of the thunderstorms and everything that came through. But I had one, two, three, at least four people that I rode with and drafted off of. Thank God for them because I would not have made it without them. Shout out to, I believe, Madison are their names, Madison Jr. and Senior. And then there was two other kids that I don't know their names off the top of my head, and I'd have to look them up. But they pulled me through from Greenfield to Richmond. So Jim met me at Richmond. I was mentally broken. Like I offered him to buy all my bikes for $20 and take me home, which was less than a 6 mile trip to my house at that point. I was like, just take me home. I'm done. Jim basically lifted my spirits. We went and talked to a gentleman that we actually worked with, both of us at the prior time. He quit/retired, and he was there at that SAG stop, and Jim basically, got me some mental stability back by just talking me through some situations. So shout out to you, Jim. I appreciate you, and you have done a lot for me over the years here, learning about cycling and everything else. And you were my rock at that point in time. I'm not gonna lie. So we eventually I said, "Hey Jim, I gotta go. These guys who I've been drafting off of and have been pulling me to the finish are about ready to leave because I saw them out of basically corner of my eye that they were getting ready to head out." So I said, "Jim, I appreciate you. Thank you. Too bad you didn't accept my offer. You could have had a very expensive bike for a very little cost, and you could have taken me home and have been done with it." But luckily, Jim was very, 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 very supportive and helped me through that last bit, as well as those other 4 people that I don't particularly know their names, but shout out to you. I appreciate you. I believe Madison. Um, crap. I wish I would. I really remember their names, but basically, I ended up finishing about an hour and a half earlier than my previous year's time on the rain ride. So 5 minutes or 5 miles isn't an hour and a half. I can't remember exactly what I averaged right off the top of my head, but it was an hour and a half earlier finish than what we did the previous year. Jim and myself and Brianna. So after that, I took quite a bit of time off, as you can see. So from July 19th to August the 3rd, and then from August the 3rd up until basically the flat 50, which if I can get here. So August the 3rd, I rode basically almost every day with the exception of a couple. So the 15th there, I skipped. 20, 21, 22. So the 22nd, I skipped. The 24th, I skipped. And that was it. So the month of August, I killed it. Did almost 600 miles here, as you can see in the bottom right corner of the screen. And then I continued riding because I knew I had to make up time on my mileage here because it was well over halfway through the season. I knew that I needed to make up a bunch of time, but as you can see, the flat 50 here, which is this 51:61, I actually bested my time, I believe, by 6 or 8 minutes. So I was very happy with that. So I beat my time on both of the rides that I did in 2024. So I've got a couple more rides planned for this year. In fact, I'm doing some rides outside of actually organized rides. So hopefully you all will be able to enjoy that. I've got somebody who could potentially edit for me. But I plan on doing a 444-mile route from Natchez, Mississippi to Nashville, Tennessee, with a friend who is going to be my SAG driver. She will be helping me maintain my mental status and also be bringing me lunch and just enjoying the sights as I painfully punish myself by riding 160 miles, 160 miles, and 120 miles. So I'm going for what's called a fastest known time, or an FKT. And I plan on doing that at the very end of April into May of 2026. But basically, I'm still in training for that because I've got my GoPro, trying to learn how to use all that, and so forth and so on. But almost 600 miles in August of 2025, and then in September, sorry, as you can see, this right here is a tire change, and I changed my seat because seats are very important, people. But I basically had some issues after the rain ride and just was not feeling myself until I changed my seat here, basically. So in September of 2025, I was able to pull almost 800 miles, which is just stellar for me. And then October, not so much, but still pulled in almost 300 miles. And then November here, I have pulled in, as you can see, 328 miles. So I've been fairly consistent. Unfortunately, the weather has taken a turn for the worse. So I won't be able to potentially ride too much. I'm hoping to get a day or two, at least 10 to 15 miles in, eventually here in December of 2025. But obviously, if I don't, I met my goal, which was the main priority. I'd like to get 115%, but obviously probably not going to do that as it is December the 6th right now, soon to be December the 7th, which I actually work on December the 7th, so I won't probably get a chance because they're calling for freezing rain and so forth and so on. But with that, I plan on bumping my goal, which right here you can see is 3,300 for 2025, which I surpassed that. I try and bump my goal up 10% each year. So here in 2026, you can see that my mileage on my bikes carries over, but I haven't started anything here yet. But my goal for this year is 3,630 miles. So that's 10% of my previous year's goal. So on 2027 will be 10% of this added on to this mileage right here. So I'm trying to keep my goals achievable because you never know what life events might happen or what weather events might happen or so forth and so on. If I'm just lazy one day and want to take a day off, then I'll take it. But I want to basically start with potential for 365 days to achieve this goal right here. And I will keep a running total, and I'll try to do a month-to-month update for you guys with what percent of total goal has been reached versus days left and total left per days remaining. So that would be like, so in let's say here in May, I only had to average 13.07 miles per day to beat my goal for the year, or rather meet my goal for the year. Not beat it, but meet it. And then you can see it dropped as I rode more mileage, and then it also raised as I took time off after the rain ride. So, for instance, I only needed 11.9 miles per day for 134 days to meet my goal, and then it jumped up as I took a lot of time off between the rain ride and August, and it jumped up to 13.27 miles per day for 119 days. So I'm a nerd. I keep track of stuff like that, and hopefully you guys will join me on the adventure of 2026. And that is about it. That's all I really wanted to bring to the table here today, and let you know that I plan on, let's say, kicking some ass this next year. I'm aiming for 3630, but if I can hit over 4,000, that would be my highest year ever, and I would be super stoked on that. So let's hope. You never know what's going to happen, but let's hope that I can beat my goal of 3,630 miles. But with that, I'm going to hop off here. I just figured I'd give you an update since I'm not able to cycle. I'm trying to get some quote unquote content for my channel. But another thing that I like to keep track of is like the sum of all my rides here. So in 2023, 2024, I keep track of how many miles I'd ridden so far during my quote unquote adult years on anything besides a Walmart Huffy that I used to ride around as a kid. So I try to keep track of my bikes at the time, how many miles I have on my bikes, and how many miles I have overall. So you can see for the first 2 years, which technically was only a year and a partial, I had over 4,009, almost 4,100 miles for all the bikes, which includes my friend Richard's mountain bike here for the first 100 miles or so. And then that includes the Marlin here, which I had 1,436.25 miles on that year, as well as the Empire, which I bought in March of, well, I got in March of 2025 or 2024. I actually purchased it prior in February, but it took them a little bit to ship it to me, which is understandable because they're a buy on the website, they ship directly to you type company. Thank you, Ari, once again. You don't know how much that I have enjoyed your bike, and if you watch this video, I've enjoyed it thoroughly. But and then I moved on to 2025, where I kept track of my Empire here. And in 2 years since having the bike, I've put over 6,000 miles on my Empire. And that right there is just mind-boggling to me how many miles I've been able to put on a singular bike within 2 years. But the Marlin, which is my mountain bike, which is a Trek, I put 629 miles on, almost 620 or 630. And the Giant, which I got of 2025, basically March of 20, February of 2025, I put 42 miles on, which, eventually I'll talk about that. But yeah, so basically I'm trying to keep track of how many miles I have on the bike and how many miles I've ridden overall, like over the years. So I'm nearing the 8,000 mark for total mileage over all my bikes. Um, so basically, I'm hoping for nearly 11,000, if not 12,000 total for all my rides next year. So I keep track of nerdy things also as well. So I changed my tires on the Fazari, which I run Maxxis right now. I'm thinking about running some Pirellis next year. Don't know for sure what I'm going to do. The Maxxis has been actually very, very good to me. Um, but anyway, I changed them at 3,070 miles and again at 5,200 miles. So I actually changed them twice this last year, just because it was at the very end of my tires here at 3,070 miles, and then another 2,200 miles. Basically, I changed them again because I was getting flats out the wazoo. And come to find out, if you don't have any tread on your smooth tires, they will flat out super easy. So I went ahead and changed them a lot sooner than I did the previous time. And then, yeah. So basically, I'm hoping to get about 2,000 miles out of my Maxxis road tires. And then I will either buy Pirelli or Maxxis, depending on what I feel. Maxxis is obviously a slightly cheaper tire. Pirelli is a higher name brand for road tires, from what I can gather. So they are about $30 per tire more expensive. So instead of about 128-ish, I'll be spending 180-ish per uh, tire change. But we will see. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. I'll probably, I don't know. I really kind of want to stick with Maxxis because they've been good so far. But I'd kind of like to maybe give another tire a chance just to see what the difference is between them and whether they actually get more mileage or not. So I'm kind of up in the air on that, to be honest with you. I'll talk with the Pointer Brothers a little bit more. I know they run Terravale and a couple others maybe. But yeah, so basically, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do next year, but I do. I definitely will be buying more tires to take with me on the Natchez Trace Trail, and have them in case I need to change in the middle of my rides there. So hopefully, you all are looking forward to seeing some more riding. I know right now I kind of just do some crappy around my hometown things, but hopefully you all are actually enjoying it. I know that my friend has said that she uses it not necessarily to fall asleep, not that it's boring, but it's, I guess she said, kind of soothing to her. But she has enjoyed the videos as far as I can tell. She's the one that's going to be the SAG driver for me. So hopefully, I can get some more videos out here shortly if the weather cooperates. But of course, there's freezing rain chance tomorrow. So, no, it's probably not going to cooperate. So, but if I don't see you in December, outside of putting out a few, hopefully, videos over my bikes and so forth and so on, um, hopefully I can see you in January for a nice winter ride on my Trek mountain bike. And Ari, if you want to give me a mountain bike, hey, I'll be more than happy to promote you because I love your road bikes. But outside of that, I plan on taking my giant gravel bike as well as my Fazari road bike with me to Mississippi and using them one for a failsafe in case one bike just has a complete and utter disaster in the fact that maybe a rim blows up or my chain just completely obliterates twice because I plan on buying another chain. And hopefully we can at least make that ride and make it entertaining for you guys to watch. So that's kind of my hope. Hopefully, I can build this channel, and hopefully, you guys can enjoy it and actually maybe get some entertainment out of it. If not, tell me. I don't care if you want to see something in particular. I plan on hopefully doing some more mountain biking this year. Although Jim and myself are planning on doing at least two potential rides. One being the rain. He wants to better his time. Um, and of course, I'm hooked on the rain ride, so I will be doing it until they don't do it ever again. So I plan on doing the rain ride in 2026 as well. So that would be my third. I've actually got two medals, which I might do a video or include them in a video showing you guys what they give you at the end of the rain ride and so forth and so on. But I hope you all have a good day, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Hey, everybody. So, I am not able to ride right now, obviously, because if you watched the last video, you will see that it is pretty crappy here in Indiana. But I just want to give you an update on this year in general. I really wanted to start the year off recording, but didn't really have the chance due to life events. Um, Unfortunately, I only have like three rides actually recorded, so that in itself kind of sucks. But at the same point in time, at least I got something up and going. So my goal every year is to increase my mileage by 10%. Um, Starting out in 2023, I started riding with a friend's bike. Shout out to Richard if you ever watch this. He let me borrow his giant mountain bike. And once I rode it enough to where I felt that I wanted to actually bike, I bought my own mountain bike. And basically, the first 100-ish or so miles, I think these 5 rides right here were on his giant. And that's in 2023, just so everybody's aware. That's how long I've been riding my adult life, quote unquote. And then after that, I bought my Marlin 5 Gen 2, which I will do a video on all my bikes eventually when the time comes. But then I bought my Marlin, and after that, I've been hooked, so to speak. So, all in all, for 2023, starting out September 30 or August 30th, I rode a total of 619 miles, as you can see. And that's from August to October, basically November of that year, which this sums it up right here. And then starting 2024, I set a goal for myself of, I believe, 3,000 miles. And so you can see that, and I guess I should preface this with I'm a very amateur cyclist, and I don't really have a whole lot of knowledge outside of just learning from time to time. So I started in February basically because that was the time that I felt that I could ride my mountain bike. And later on in March, I actually got my Fazari, which prior to them changing to Ari, I got myself a fairly decently discounted bicycle from them, which is the Empire Sport model, which is the base model from them. If you guys want the specs and everything, you can look it up, or you can, comment, and I will be more than happy to share anything that I can. from them. Please sponsor me, Ari. But that's basically just pandering to the corporate America, so to speak. But I would love to be sponsored by Ari and be able to support them and them support me. But basically, in March, I got my road bike, which is an Ari or Fazari at the time, Empire Sport, which is the base model, which came with regular disc brakes and 2x10, so it's a 20 speed. And I've loved it ever since. And as you can see, in the first year that I had it, which would be 2024, I put almost 3,000 miles on it, just shy by about 300 and some change. Um, and I've been loving it ever since. So I occasionally rode 2024 mountain biking here, as you can see, but I put a ton of mileage on my Empire. So as you can see, March, as soon as I got it, I just rode the crap out of it here because it's a good bike and I love it. And it's just there's been no other experience besides riding a road bike. So honestly, having not ever been in the biking scene, I basically, not gonna lie, had to YouTube how to actually shift gears on my bike. Um, so it's been a learning experience, obviously, as with any uh, person starting out in a hobby and or sport. Um, and I don't claim to be any good at all at what I do. I'm just doing it for health reasons and for the fun of it. So, uh, what happened this year, 2024, the reason I bought the Ari is because my friend Jim actually told me that they existed. I didn't know they existed. I had no clue. I was new to biking. I knew Trek Giant, Cannondale, all the big names. But figured I would give a company out of, I believe, based out of Utah, a shot and bought a road bike because Jim and I agreed to run the rain ride here in Indiana, which is basically a 160-mile bike ride in one day across the state of Indiana, width, not length, thank God. But he and I both agreed that we would do the rain ride this year in 2024. So I started riding my Fazari and getting as much time with it as I could to get used to it. And you can see occasionally I would ride my Trek, which is my mountain bike, which is my first quote unquote adult bike that I bought. And then just continued to ride the Fazari as much as I could, knowing that I needed to get used to it and be able to feel comfortable on it for the 160-mile bike ride that I was about ready to do in July of 2024. So, if you guys don't know, the Rain Ride, which is the ride across Indiana, is held on the, I believe, third weekend or Saturday of July every year, and it has been for over 20 years now. I believe it's almost 30 years at this point, if not more than 30 years. You can look it up at rainride.org, I believe. I will include the link in the description of this video. But so basically, I tried to get as much seat time or saddle time on my Fazari as I could. And I set what I feel is a lofty goal in 2024 of 3,000 miles. So you can see that I beat that right here in this column. And so I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to tracking mileage on my bikes and so forth and so on, because I want to know how many miles I've been riding and also keep track of, that type of stuff for my fitness tracker and my caloric intake tracker. But overall, for 2024, I did very, very, very well, in my opinion, for basically starting out in the last, very, very last part of 2023 into 2024, beating my goal by over 400 miles. So my percentage of that total goal overall was 115%. So 3,000 miles, and I went 3,456.29 miles, which is very, very good in my opinion, just literally starting out. So basically every year I planned on raising it by minimum of 10%. So as you can see, I actually beat my next year's goal, but I do that just because you never know about the weather conditions here in Indiana, because we can have 4 seasons within a week. Obviously, if you don't know, Indiana weather sucks, but that's beside the point, really, honestly. So I've basically been keeping track of everything that I ride through Strava. Here recently, I bought a Coros Dura, which actually has been significantly more helpful in keeping track of how much I ride. So I don't know if you all are familiar with the Coros Dura, but I honestly recommend it. For $250, you get a very, very, very nice bike computer. But obviously not sponsored, because I'm a scrub at this. But basically, you all can decide for yourself whether you want to actually purchase it and use it. But I've been happy with it, and I've only used it for like maybe a month so far, and it's 2025, the very end of 2025. It's actually December right now. I haven't used it for a couple days, but like, it is very, very, very helpful in maintaining battery life for my phone and so forth and so on. And I haven't actually seen the benefits per se of the solar powered regeneration of the battery, but I do believe that once the spring and summertime hits, I will see that wholeheartedly and not have to ever charge my Coros Dura. But back to previous years here in 2024, I basically prepped and prepped and prepped for the rain ride. Never having done any kind of actually long distance riding. You can see I threw in some 40s and 50 milers here in April, and then just kind of kept consistent enough to where I felt that I would be able to do a century, which is one of the things that they recommend that you do prior to the rain ride. But as you can see, I did a 60 miler here in May. Sorry, got to get my dates right here. But that was the highest that I had ridden previously, and I actually didn't use Strava for this prior to a certain date. I'll have to actually look it up and give you guys a heads up. But honestly, Strava, I actually pay for some things because I want to do the heat maps and be able to make my own routes and so forth and so on. So it's just something that I see as something that's very, very, very helpful. Strava, you don't have to pay for it. It's a free app. But if you do, you get a few extra perks like heat maps and being able to make your own routes and so forth and so on. So it's very helpful in that aspect, because I planned out several routes that I want to do over the next year or two. So, and then you can see here in May, I actually did my first ever century ride here, which was just over 100 miles. And Jim and I actually did that on the Greenway here, Cardinal Greenway here in Indiana. It's a 53-ish mile ride from Richmond, Indiana, up to, I believe, Gaston, Indiana. and then we rode back, which if you ask him and me, that was probably the hardest ride we ever did outside of the rain ride, because we were not fully prepared. We were planning on doing 80 miles that day, and we actually did 106.79 here, as you can see. And we actually crapped out probably about 3/4 of the way, and we're like, God, we wish we would have done this. We wish we would have planned better. We actually weren't planning, like I said, to do the whole century ride. We were planning on doing like an 80-mile ride, because the furthest I had ridden prior to that was a 60-mile ride here. And some of these right here, I actually had some spoke damage with Fazari, which, if you're listening, Fazari, which I doubt you are, don't ever use Alex rims ever again. Use something better like DT Swiss, because not bashing Ari, don't get me wrong, but DT Swiss is a much better rim than Alex rims. I know Alex rims is probably the cheaper version that they want to use to give affordability to those who purchase the base model of the Empire. But please, Ari, if you ever hear this, do not ever use Alex rims again, because me and my buddy have both had issues with breaking spokes on Alex rims. And he actually rides just straight bike trails. But Ari was very, 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 very good to me, and actually replaced my rims after having purchased a bike from them through their website. So shout out to Ari for having great customer service, and I was able to finish my first century ever, first over 100-mile ride in May of 2024. So a little background to this. It was actually myself, Jim, and a girl named Brianna who wanted to do the rain ride. Brianna actually tagged in later after Jim and I had talked about it and said that she wanted to do the rain ride. And we actually did the rain ride in 2024, having barely cycled anything. I say barely. 638 miles is a lot of miles for just starting out in August to October, basically November. But yeah, so I basically trained as much as I could up until the third weekend of July. So I did a century here. I believe there's another century right here in June that I did. I believe that was on the Greenway as well. And then prior to the rain ride, where's it at? I thought I did another 80-miler, because Brianna hadn't actually done a century because she went on vacation with her family. And we did an 85-mile prior to the rain ride right here, as you can see. So we did an 85-miler on US 40 here in Indiana, which is actually the route that the rain ride actually rides on. And so she didn't do a full century, which is what they suggest prior to doing the rain ride. And we finished an 85-miler that day. Jim dipped out after 40 miles, I believe. And Bree and I continued on, and we did some 85 miles. Basically, I only crapped out. I was going to do another century with her just so she could be prepared. But on US 40, there was, I can remember it pretty vividly. There was a very close call on US 40 where a car, if I had been over the white line on the shoulder, I would have been hit and probably killed at that point in time. Brianna as well, if she would have been over the white line on the right-hand shoulder. But we finished 85. We made it to what would be Greenfield, Indiana, basically, which would be around the new place where they built the jail, which obviously anybody that's watching this probably has no clue what I'm talking about. But We made it to the jail from Knightstown, and then we decided to go ahead and make our way back to Knightstown, which is where we originally started in the first place. So then I just rode some a little bit more, and then on July 20th of that year, I did 160 miles, which is the rain ride route. And this right here was me versus the days left, how much I had to ride to actually meet my 3,000 mile goal. And you can see after the rain ride, it dipped down way below the 7 miles per day mark. But yeah, so basically I just rode the crap. And right here, I actually, prior to the rain ride, I got new DT Swiss rims from Ari. And they did me a solid. They sold me rims at cost, basically, and told me that they would ship it to me. And they actually didn't even charge me for shipping. So that was super, 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 super stellar of Ari to get me those rims. So after the rain ride, I had the Pointer Brothers, which I think you guys have heard me mention on the channel multiple times. Go ahead and get the new rims set up. I told them no time limit. I basically didn't want to ride after riding 160 miles for at least a week. And then I started basically making my way back on the trek here. And I don't remember what happened here, but it was a very short ride. I think it was prior to work or whatever the case is. But so I rode the trek for basically a week or a little over. And finally, they called me and told me my bike was ready and that the new rims were installed. And I could basically take off on them and enjoy my rides, which I did, as you guys can see, for the rest of 2024, basically. Right here, I actually did go mountain biking on my Trek, which my Trek is a Marlin 5 Gen 2. I think I mentioned that before. And I bought that, and we went mountain biking, and that was actually with Jim and I believe Jeff, which is another guy that I work with. We went mountain biking and had a good old time here, and then I just continued riding until the end of the season, which was the day after Christmas. And then so in 2025, I went ahead and bumped up my mileage here, as you can see, to 3,300, which is this year. And as you can see, I have met and surpassed my. Wait, what are we doing here? We don't need that. Yeah, so let's undo that. Okay, let's undo that, please. Okay, so as you can see, I have met and surpassed my goal here at 112% of my total goal. Now, I really wanted to reach 115% because I reached 115% in 2024, but weather is not cooperating right now. It's been very chilly. We've had snow in November already, which is kind of unusual here as of late for Indiana. But basically, so I am the only one that signed up for the rain ride this year out of the 3 that rode it last year with me. So I was basically training like a monster here. Started out in January this year. That was actually a lot earlier than you can see previous 2024. 2024, I didn't start until February. But in 2025, I started. I actually had a little competition with my brother, which I think I broke his spirits. No offense, David, obviously, if you ever see this. But he and I had a little competition along with a gentleman named Andy, who is in a Discord with me. Sorry, wet my whistle here. But we basically wanted to have a little friendly competition on who could have the highest amount of mileage in a year. Well, needless to say, since I have no life and am a cycling beast, even though I'm an amateur, I have surpassed everybody. But that is not the point. The point is I was trying to get everybody out to get active and to be somewhat competitive to kind of push each other. But as you can see, I started out on the Trek here because it was winter and there was some snow on the ground and ice and everything else. And then I started to go with the Fazari. And Jim, who likes to, push me and me push him, said, "Hey, let's do the Death March ride." And I'm like, "Cool, okay, I guess let's do it." So I actually bought a third bike within a second year of me actually cycling, and I bought a gravel bike. So I will do a video on all my bikes eventually. It's just right now I'm kind of constrained for space and time, and I'd prefer not to dox myself and so forth and so on. So I will do a video on at least all my bikes together, if not singular video for each bike, I guess. But I I I basically went ahead and bought a third bike after searching for a little bit and figuring out which bike I wanted and could find for cheap enough that I could actually purchase.